Howdy, y'all. Welcome to a special edition of Rage from a Contagious Smile host, Victoria.
No, I don't think that's accurate or correct at all. We're just doing a special edition podcast because today is my AMPU anniversary.
What?
Anniversary. I got the pleasure of interviewing Tyron Jackson, who has become a friend, and he has such an amazing, motivational, and heartbreaking story, which you guys will hear when it releases soon. But he is a brother as amputee and a motivational speaker, and just downright nice guy. And we were talking about that today is my 3 years of being an amputee, and it was an ampu anniversary or happy amputee anniversary, whatever. 3 years. And we were talking about what it's like to really go through it. And people don't get it unless they have become an amputee, right? Nobody understands that. So we were talking about that, and we were talking about the release of Dear Silence, You Lost, We Get the Last Word. And that will be on ebook and paperback as we celebrate. See, we're celebrating. We got bells and whistles. The release of this international, what would you call it, babe? It's an international gathering of
Collection
survivors that is just amazing. And I am so honored that these wonderful human beings trusted me with their stories and allowed me to show the world their bravery and the sacrifice and the survival to which every single one of them have.
So y'all get on Amazon and get this book.
Well, hold on. It wasn't supposed to be released till October 1st. But the ebook is live as of today. And the paperback is still in approval, but it will be out shortly. And all proceeds go to offering scholarships to those that need that. So we can provide that comfort and help and healing without a price tag, because you shouldn't have to pay to better yourself and to get through tough times.
The name of the book is Dear Silence, You Lost, by compiled by Victoria Cure, written by hundreds.
Yes.
Okay, these are their actual stories. These are their, what would you call it? Heroic escapes. Maybe their traumatic nightmares.
This is their voice. That's the best way to say it. Excuse me, this is their voice. They and I and you, because you're in it, you actually submitted a letter in this, is a voice for the voiceless. We were basically like introverted within ourselves, going through whether it's emotional, physical, verbal, emotional, sexual, it's all in there. And this is their, like, taking the tape off. This is them using their voice and stating, hey, guess what? We survived, and this is how we did it. This is our story. So, yeah, it's an honor, but it was a very, very challenging thing to do, because when you read what everybody went through, it's a lot. It's very challenging.
So if you don't have Kindle, put it in your wish list and be on the lookout for it.
For paperback.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
let's talk about black sheeps. Let's talk about the black sheeps of family.
Well, that would be you. That would be me. That would be, how many others out there?
So many. What do you think it's like? Well, first of all, one of the very first things I've ever learned, and I know you learned and know, but I learned even from studying and courses and things like that, is that, and I learned firsthand from life itself, is that narcissists cannot accept or claim responsibility for their actions, no matter what it is. If it is not making them look better or putting themselves out there in a positive way, they care more about the public's perception of them than what they do behind closed doors. They will never accept accountability for their actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as funny as that is, and I don't mean it comically, and as Black Sheep, you know, we all know that I survived horrific domestic violence. Any domestic violence is horrific, right? But I have had well over 100 surgeries, and I have still now made my reason for life beside my husband and child to help others. And for 20 years, that's what I've done. I have advocated and stood for, and helped survivors of domestic violence, special needs children, and never taken a check for it. This is something that I have done because I believe in it so strongly. My husband believes in it so strongly, and our daughter believes in it so strongly. And so in the beginning, for Who Kicked First,
which is your memoir.
That is a memoir. And I was literally being interrogated by any and everyone. And so I started to take notes. Faith was in a medically induced coma, so we couldn't stimulate her. But I sat beside her and talked to her and told her stories and sang to her. But I literally took my laptop and just started writing and writing and writing. Because when you're being interrogated, I'm sorry, and I totally don't agree with our system. But the thing is that the person who did the crime is not getting interrogated. And I hate the word victim. I think it's so inappropriate. We are interrogated. I always ask, well, who broke your nose? Where were they? Who was around? What time of day was it? What was the weather like? What was he wearing? What were you wearing? When you're getting your nose shattered open, I promise you that you are not looking at your surrounding environment. You're not looking at who is at 9 o'clock, who's at 3, 6, 11. You're not looking at any of that. I'm sitting in my vehicle, I'm on a military installation, and I'm getting my face smashed open. That I can tell you. Well, what day of the week was it? What day of time of the day was it? What were they wearing? Well, obviously it was a uniform. Who was standing around? I don't know. They all look like little G.I. Joe figures, right? So it's like constant. And it was like we had to not prove our innocent, we had to prove our truth. Well, I've always said from day one, you don't have non-cosmetic surgery for things that aren't broken, right? You're not going to go to the hospital, have your nose set if it's not broken. They're not going to do it. You're not going to have a titanium face if your jaws are shattered beyond repair and you have multiple surgeries to get there, right? You're not going to lose your hearing and require hearing aids and have actual hearing tests that show hearing loss due to trauma if you don't have it, right? So this is all cut and dry. There it is. So the one thing about narcissism is that they never can hold themselves accountable for their actions. Okay. And one of the main things that narcissists love is the silent treatment. They think it is like the best analogy I can do is like a little kid stomping their feet, not getting their way, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're not listening to me, and now it's supposed to be all about me. So to hell with you. Oh, stomping my feet. Turn around, walk off, and stop talking to you until you need something again. And until that time comes, they have nothing for you or to do with you. Because here's the thing, babe, and I can't wait to hear your thought on this. The narcissist's biggest threat is the black sheep. Because the golden child is so, I don't know what you want to say, like taken care of, that it's like the sheep, the wool is pulled over their eyes.
Right. They have on blinders.
They have on, what do they call them? Like the rose colored glasses, right? So with the black sheep, a narcissist spends their life like belittling the black sheep, tearing them down. Nothing is ever good enough, Like in my situation, I wrote a book and I heard, oh, well, your brother wrote a term paper or a thesis or, whatever. Okay, great, good for him. Nowhere, anywhere can anyone say I've ever said anything bad about my brother. Do we have a relationship? No. Why? Because narcissistic parents separate the siblings out of fear that they'll come together and go against the parents, right? Now, I've always said from day one that I appreciate the fact that my biological parents did allow us to be there for refuge after my our daughter was born, and it would be months and months after they met her for the very first time. They didn't even meet her until she was well over 3 months of age. But geographically, from their front door to the door of the hospital was less than 1.5 miles, right? Less than 1.5 miles. So no, like if there was no traffic, 3 minutes, right? Seriously, is that right or wrong?
Yeah, from what I remember where they lived.
Right. So I appreciate the refuge. I do.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they let us. They did not have to. I've always said that. But that doesn't mean that that gives the right to do some things that were done. And I've always said, I'm not innocent. I'm sure I've done bad things. I admit that I've done bad things. I made a deal with the devil that I wouldn't hit him back if he didn't hit my stomach, right? These are things that I openly admit to. So, needless to say, so many people asked me over the years, how did you get to where you were comfortable with someone like your ex, right? And it was after years and decades, really, of being on a therapist couch. I was in therapy in elementary and middle and high school constantly. It was consistent. I've always been on a couch because I never understood why I wasn't enough. Why could I not have a dad that would say, I love you? Why could I not have a dad that said he was proud of me? Or, I was always trying to get him to even want to be around me. And when I was little, I would go on motorcycle rides with him. I would want to do stuff with him, right? But then everything changed, and I went 10 years without speaking to him. And the thing is that I got into careers to have something in common with him, which I wanted nothing to do with. But I did it because
You were seeking his approval.
I always wanted his approval. I always wanted him to say, I'm proud of you, which I didn't hear, right? And I like constantly wanted to hear this, but never heard it. And the thing is that I had the influence of my grandparents, which meant the world to me. And I always wanted to emulate what they had. And yes, I went through in my early 20s, whatever, relationships because I wasn't speaking to my biological parents. And I spent that time hiding, literally, because I wanted nothing to do with them. And in the beginning of that time, I met my soulmate who's sitting here in front of me.
Okay.
And we spent 4.5 beautiful years together. And part of that time, I did see my biological parents, and everybody knew who my soulmate was because I held him in such a high regard. And I was traveling with work and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I never got that touch of, we're proud of you or what you've accomplished. It's all like, oh, you got this job. How much money do you make? Why are you living alone? Why are you doing this? I would get, why don't you just put your name on a bus stop? Because that's the kind of white trash that you are, and that's the kind of white trash that you have in your life as relationships. Like, this is what I would hear constantly. I would hear, about my scars. Men aren't going to find them attractive. Men aren't going to find you attractive. Things that were just
You're effing hot.
whatever. But just things that you would never say. I would never say these things to me ever in a million years.
Nope, I tell her all the time, every day. I'm proud of her.
She's beautiful.
Yep, and I love her.
And we broke the chains. We both did because we were not going to be like that. And see, here's the thing, is that I wrote this book, Narcissistic there. And the thing is that the book, and my husband has read it, and my husband knows he could say whatever, and I support him whether we agree on it or not, because that's why you have opinions. Everything in that book is backed by evidence, right? Everything. And it's overwhelming. Like, it took me a long time because it was, do I want to put that in there? Do I want to put this in there? Do I want to take that out? how far do I want to go with this? You know, because there was probably another 1,000 pieces of evidence, pictures, and whatever that I kept that I didn't include. And I did not want to slander my brother, like, but I wanted him to know. I was hoping that if he ever read this book, it would be eye opening for him, and he would really learn more about
Sure.
who they really were. But he was never going to believe me because he only heard what he got from them. He had no relationship with our biological father. And, you know, they would show me things about how he would get upset with, you know, this is that and the other. But it's, you know, my husband has known me for the longest time. I've never said anything about him other than I'm glad he's happy and that he deserves to be happy. I have said that I truly wish he would get away from her, his mom, because she made it where he couldn't do anything without her. And that's not on him, that's on her. Right. So, anyway, needless to say, it was probably a couple months ago that my biological father approached my husband. And I'm so careful about everything. I've never said names or anything of that nature for multiple reasons. And he approached my husband, and it wasn't really, it was kind of shocking because everybody knows that Faith was in the hospital. We almost lost her, right? And I mean, we're not talking about like a car accident, God forbid, or anything like that. She was in full multi-organ failure. They told us, call a priest, call your husband. She's not going to make it through the night. Then they said, we'll keep her comfortable and let her pass naturally. We didn't leave her side for months, right? She had dozens of surgeries bedside. We know for a fact that both of our families knew, hands down, we knew, both sides knew about this. And no one called from your side of the family. And we heard later on that my biological father attempted to call one time. No voicemail, no nothing. Here's the thing. I got the wrong number. That's what we were told. We got the wrong number. Now, he runs into my husband and like he sees him maybe once a month, maybe every couple of months, something like that. He saw him during this period of time. Not once did he say, hey, come here, can I talk to you? What's going on with Faith? How is she doing? What do y'all need? Nothing. We've been at the same children's hospital from birth, right? This is where her team is. That's where all her doctors are. Everybody knows that. His answer was we didn't know where you were, right? That's a load of shit. So he approaches my husband and goes into this long dissertation, which I guess that's where I get it from, and talks about how hard things are now because his wife is sick and how horrible it is because no one understands how hard it is to take care of someone with special needs. Right? And what do? First time, I reach out and I call him. What? You tried to call? What? When? Not true. You know, he could have gotten a message to us. He didn't. I blatantly said, had you, and you said to your family, anybody who reached out to us while this was going on with Faith, we would have absolutely put things aside and said, do you want to see her, talk to her, whatever. We had our hands full, and we only have 3. We only have 3 hands. We had support from our listeners and our followers. We had people, you know, offering to pay for our parking and helped us with some GoFundMe. They paid for some meals. We had people sending meals up there, you know, like Whitney, who is amazing. She sent money for food and for parking and things like that. And we will forever be grateful to her for all of that. And our own, both sides, no, right? So needless to say, with all this said and done, we're about to release this other Dear Silence book. And you know the way people talk and whatever. My husband is just eating at the bit here. Just go ahead and interrupt me and say whatever it is you want to say. Come on.
No, I'm good.
No, go ahead, please.
Well, let's not forget while we were there in the hospital for the 2.5 months.
Before we were transferred to another hospital for another month.
Not leaving her bedside, that we were able to bless a young man with a refrigerator.
Yes.
You recall that?
I do.
And I know that's an odd thing, but the he had some misfortune upon him.
His wife got injured and he worked at the hospital, and he wasn't a doctor or a medical professional. He worked in the food services, and he always kept extra for us because we wouldn't come down.
Yeah, we didn't leave her bedside, y'all.
Right. And so my husband didn't work for the first several weeks, but then went back, and was going back and forth. And he met this gentleman who they started jaw jacking. My husband jaw jacks with everybody, and found out that they had lost almost everything. And we had an extra refrigerator. Here we are going through all this. And my husband went home, got the refrigerator when he went back home the next time, and brought it back to this guy.
Right. I just, we had a lot of people, support us.
Yeah.
So I want to say, we paid it forward.
Right. We always pay it forward.
We're not looking for glory. We're not looking to make millions. Lord knows we're not millionaires.
Not us.
So I think, from my perspective, that the characters of my wife's book,
It's a loose attitude.
in real life, actually read the book and have commented on the book and got other people to comment on the book. So most of y'all listeners out there have heard or seen the videos about Philly Karen and the baseball.
I don't know what you're talking about.
One of the players hit a home run.
Okay.
Went up in the stands, and the dad was there at the game celebrating his son's birthday. And he went over there and he got the ball and gave it to his son as a birthday present, right? Karen, which the fans named,
Okay.
she is now infamous. She came over here and nagged the father so much, said it was her destiny to keep the ball. And he gave it to her. He
took it away from his kid?
Well, he gave it so that, one, he probably wouldn't have to listen to her mouth anymore. Two, he's there for him. He's there for his son. He didn't want this woman ruining his birthday. So, and then you see what became of that. The baseball team got together and gave that kid so many gifts and stuff. Had him down, in the dugout, or with the players. Got an autographed baseball bat. Got so many things.
See this?
Oh yeah, you got to look at it. So now this woman is infamous.
Is that how Karen came about?
Oh no, this is no. Yeah, Karen goes back a year or two.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but we try to do good things.
And we've started this academy, right? And we don't take away that people get expert, medical professional, psychological assistance. And anyway, this is trauma based. We've won 5 awards for what we have created. We are the first trauma informed, transformative network academy for special needs and survivors of abuse, right? These aren't awards that are just Publishers Clearinghouse. The thing is that you've never seen, my husband will tell you, I have never been someone who's like, oh, I can't be me today because I'm hurting and I'm just going to go feel sorry for myself. I've never done that, right? Just, my husband's now not paying attention. I've never done that.
You have not.
And I've never, my husband gets on my butt about the fact that I don't boast about myself. We won an award. I won an award for best advocate, domestic violence advocate internationally for 2025. And I'm like, okay, that's not me. It's the people I get to talk to. Our ratings, we're a top global podcast. And it's not us, it's our listeners. It's because people believe in what we have to say and they're supportive of it, right? So with that being said, even after all this time, and I'm not doing this for a pity party. I'm just saying, and you'll see in a second, I've lost my hearing. My face is all metal. I can't even go through a metal detector. My shoulder's replaced. I have had over 100 surgeries. That's not an exaggeration, right? And so I have metal everywhere. I have scars everywhere. And then I get comments like, well, you could just take a Sharpie marker and play connect the dots to all your scars and you'll be busy for weeks. And this is from my biological father, right? Who the Sam shit would say that to their kid? I damn sure would. Hi, Rusty Bear. Faith service dog Rusty, our Rusty Bear, has just come up and given love and hi, baby. So, with all the metal in my face and my amputation and everything else that I've got going on, I have a major, major surgery Friday where I am going to be completely deaf in one side, like not even able to hear vibration. I'm 88% deaf in the other ear. But here I am still podcasting. I just finished podcasting with Tyron tonight. We just spent all day today launching and getting the ebook and the paperback book ready. I've written a masterclass and 2 other courses and a survival kit, all which the survival kit, the masterclass, and 2 other ones are free, right? We're not trying to get richer in this. We're trying to pay it forward and help others, right? So with all of that, and we don't want the notoriety and the recognition, we want to be able to help. We learned before that there was some pretty derogatory, negative comments made about the Narc book, which when you read them, babe, when you read them, it is so obvious. If somebody said to me, Victoria, read this and tell me your thoughts. First thing, when you read it, it clearly states that the person who read it is somebody in the book.
Right.
There is not a doubt, right?
Right.
Because it's like, oh, you're only writing one side of the story and it's releasing family drama. But never did it say anywhere that it's not accurate. Nowhere did it say is it, false. And here's the thing: the entire Narc book does not have one page without evidence in it. The book is all evidence, right? There might be some words in it, but everything else is proof. You can't doctor up a text message. If you can, I sure as hell don't know how to do it. There's photographs, right? There's text messages. There's emails. There's everything and then some. The negative review that came out was so crystal clear that it was, without question, somebody involved in the book. And I mean, I am not going to point my one hand fingers and say it was this person, but we're going to narrow it down to 2, and I know one didn't read it. So it's pretty obvious.
So here's the thing for me. If you tell me don't read this book, okay, I'm a typical guy. I'm gonna read the book. Don't push the button. I'm gonna push the button. If you're gonna sit there and badmouth my wife as the author of this book, I want to know why. If I didn't read this book and I didn't know what it was about, I want to know why. Why is this getting so much publicity, right? Why is this guy or gal going out of their way to slander this author?
Your wife.
My wife, right. So I want to know about the book now. So I think it's going to have the same effect as Philly Karen did. It's going to have a positive reflect on you and the book. And I think more people are going to reach out to get this book.
Well, it's been out there for a minute.
Right. It's like now
new. It's not new. We just now decided to talk about it because it's not that big of a deal. But, we've had so much other stuff going on that we just didn't feel the need to talk about it. But, and you can be honest about, and my husband is a very honest person, be honest about it. Do you think I would exacerbate anything like that? That's not even who I am.
No, you didn't embellish anything in there. You didn't exacerbate anything. You didn't blow anything up. You didn't put anything out of proportion. Everything was documented. It can be proven. It's of course the characters are fictional, but the facts are the facts.
Well, they're not fictional in the fact that I changed names to protect why I'm not, sure. But and I redacted the faces and names. So you are protected.
Right.
Now, if you want to come forward and be like, it's one-sided, then you are going to say who you are. And then at that point, I have the right to defend my word, but I didn't redact anything. I haven't taken redaction off, right? And that's what I'm saying. But just my husband knows me better than anybody I gotta find this and just pull it and read a word of it because it's like it's kind of just it's so okay, go ahead, babe.
So the books that my wife had written, it's got some controversy. Her first one is called Who Kicked First, and the prequel to that is Narc Narc Who's There, and they're both by Victoria Cure. So please get on there and see what we're talking about tonight.
Well, you've met both of them. What is your no holds barred, unedited, unabridged version of both of them? What do you think?
I did not know
this, but I'm talking about what do you think of them?
Right, I did not know about them until I started reading this book.
No, you knew kind of about them.
Right,
like
there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, but now that you met them and speak to them, especially my biological father,
No, I can see it. It's the truth.
You saw when we were living there for a short period of time too.
Yeah, but I didn't really know.
But when you read the book,
yeah.
The pictures are worth 1,000 words. How do you explain a picture when you're on a weekend getaway with your daughter and your granddaughter, and there's another woman there, and you're all up in her Kool-Aid, if you will, sitting beside her, canoodling, or okay, you sat beside her, whatever. I was told that this was going to be spun on me, that I made her show up, that I made her hang out with him, that I made him grope her, whatever. But here's the thing, right?
You made her feed her food?
That was a different one.
Oh.
There's been so many.
Did I bring that up?
And he never goes out with these other women unless my biological mother was out with either her son or she was babysitting the other kids, which he has no involvement in. But he would have all these other women. Well, I have text messages that are in the book where he messaged me at like 11. I don't remember. What are you looking for, babe? It was like 11 something at night where he is telling me that he is still in the movie theater with this other woman and how much fun she is. And he'll be back to the hotel soon. And he even goes so far as to talk about how there is a big empty bed, right? So anyway, we've known about this for a good minute, but we just decided to bring it up. Because this is the epitome of the narcissist against the black sheep. The black sheep is the one who knows the truth, who holds the truth, and will share the truth. And anybody who has got a psychology, psychiatry, counselor, therapist, lived through it, been there, been the black sheep, been the scapegoat, for a fact that's how it is with a narcissist. But when you hear this, first of all, it's done anonymously, which, why, but fine. And then it talks about, certain people that you've known for a long time, how they dictate their words, right? Their words are so,
Right. If I say, all right, you think of one person.
Right? Like you say, what? And I'm going to think you. You try to say what? But so it's a one-sided account packed with personal stories twisted to fit the author's narrative. Taken grossly out of context. How do you grossly take it out of context if you don't know? Right? If you're not there, how do you...
Supposition?
That's it. Yeah. Readers should be aware that this is not an honest or balanced restating of events.
Restating of events.
Right, but how can you write that if you're just a reader?
Maybe they're a precognition.
Right.
Yeah.
Self-serving version of the quote-unquote truth that can conveniently cast the author as the hero or the victim in every scenario. Right? I have been so good about not leading on any information as to who, what, where, how, what they used to do, anything of that nature to protect them for why I'm not really sure. What's especially disturbing is how confident. Now, how does a narcissist, if you're not a narcissist, how do you say that? What is especially disturbing is how confident she writes about the lives, identities, and struggles of other people as if she knows the whole story. She doesn't, not even close. How can a reader confidently put that in there? How can you write that, right? And then says, I spin a complex private matter into a shallow plot to, to stir sympathy, outrage, or attention without getting the consent from the individuals that she's writing about. Like, when you, as an author, not me, because I've never done it, if I was going to go write about Jeffrey Dahmer before he died, do you think I would go and like, yes, I would, because I would be using his name, his story. I would be saying, this is a serial killer who did the unthinkable. And you're talking about specific stories and true geographic locations. I didn't mention names. I didn't mention geographics, right? So in that aspect, I mean, to me, like I said, we've known about this for a minute and we didn't want to talk about it until now. But it's kind of like you read this and it's like, why don't you just come on here and say she only get one side of the story? Wait, hold on, that is in there. Never mind, that is in there that I only get one side of the story. Now here's this. Everyone has a right to tell their story, but not by hijacking someone else's. Now, if you're thinking about reading this, do so with caution. You're not getting the whole truth. You're getting one perspective, incomplete, inflated, and lacking any accountability. How is it you don't have accountability if all the book is proof? I mean,
so what you didn't hear in there is, hey, this book is a lie. It's all a lie. No, what you heard was
come now after this goes live.
You heard was a recounting of life events. So therefore, they're admitting, hey, this is a true account, but from her perspective.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And now that you have an even deeper insight, because both sides of our family, as you stated in the beginning, are narcissists, but like they told you that they only tried to call once, and you have been a God sent father for Faith. And I know because you told me how angry that made you, because that's a poor ass excuse. How do you only make one phone call and the number was wrong, but you don't make any other effort? I mean, you love and adore Faith, and you are amazing as a father. But to see an actual father make that statement is
I can't understand that. Right. That I know I'm the black sheep from my mother and my father. But I could not make that statement about our other two kids.
No, absolutely.
Even though our other two kids have kind of disassociated themselves from us, due to whatever,
Right, but even when they were around, not once have we ever talked bad about their mother.
Nope.
We never talked about her in front of them. We always supported every one of them. I mean, at one point, the baby, because she's the youngest, wanted to move in and have me homeschool her, right? Like she wanted to be here full time.
And I'll be damned if we knew an inkling that one of them was hurt.
Oh, I dropped.
We would be in every hospital until we found them.
That's how we were with your dad. We found out in the middle of the night he had no air conditioning. We dropped everything and went straight down to get him. No questions asked, right? We drove down, drove back. It was like 10 hours of driving nonstop. With Faith in the middle of the night was in the back seat. We went down there and picked him up and brought him back. And that's just what you're supposed to do, right? But then, like, now, all of the time,
it's just more confirmation that, hey, I'm admitting I'm a narcissist because I can't handle the accountability, right?
Right.
I'm gonna put the author in the bad limelight, saying that this is all farce. It's all one-sided. It may be life events, but it's one-sided. I'm not denying it. I'm just saying I'm not taking accountability. I'm not taking responsibility for this.
Right. And the reason that I kept so much proof, unlike I did with my idiot ex, was because growing up and always wondering what you've done wrong, and any black sheep, any scapegoat, they get this, they understand completely. But when you're growing up and nothing you do is good enough and everything is questioned, you start to like get proof to remind yourself that it's not you, right? It's not me. Like, for instance, one of the women that was involved in this story happened to be my physical therapist on my arm, right? You couldn't make this shit up. You could not make it up, right? It's not. And this was the one that went out of town and came up to out of town with us. Well, instead of protecting his biological daughter, he starts warning her that I was seeking counsel at one point in time and was telling her. And I was getting the text messages about it. Like, I'm being shown these text messages. And you can't make that up. So how do you stir that to be for you? And then to have my own father say, hey, well, I wonder if you make more money if you lost your whore. I mean, there's no amount of money that would fix that.
What money do you make now from?
I have made no money because there was no lawsuit. It was not pursued. But, you know, I was told I wasn't allowed to touch her or do anything or get her in trouble. And these were all things that we have documented. The only reason I had them documented, you know, was because, and I was told blatantly that if I ever brought this to public life, that he would make sure everybody knew that I made him do this. He was miserable. Babe, and in the book, because I don't have the exact count, give me an estimate of how many different women there are pictures of him with dining out in a intimate-ish setting.
I'd say, gosh, it's been a year now since that book. 4 to 6.
And there's at least 12.
Yeah, so.
And it's not just, you know, like when we go out with friends and they're sitting across from us, they're sitting side by side, they're feeding him, they're wiping his mouth, you know, whatever. And, you know, when we saw this, my husband looked at me and was like, I guess you're out the will. And, you know, we joked about it because I know I've been out of the will for ever and a day. And, you know, one of the reasons, not that there is not a countless amount of them, why I fell in love with my husband all over again, is because my husband actually told my biological father that the only thing he wanted that he had was myself and Faith. He didn't want anything else. He didn't want money. He didn't want anything. Now, I didn't want it. I would have loved to have had my grandparents' belongings because I would like to pass them down and have Faith have them. But I never counted on any of the inheritance from all of the money and, you know, the house and cars and RV and everything that's paid for. And, you know, we hadn't seen them in years. And we saw them. And the first thing was, oh, come look at my new luxury foreign
RV.
No, I'm trying not to give any titles away. The luxury foreign 4-door sedan that was just purchased. And you got to get inside. You got to look at it. It doesn't impress me. I don't care. No, go. You have to go look at it inside. Go. You have to. No, come on. Try go look at it inside. Or look. Let's look at my new RV. Do you know what this thing goes for? Okay. I don't care. No, you got to go look at it inside. I'm not going inside of it. You know, these were things. And then just like that, and what really is that you have Faith, who is just the sweetest. How do you explain it? The most sweetest, loving young lady ever.
She's a very deep, romantic girl.
You're gonna get hurt.
Oh yes. She's got a romantic side that comes out in her poetry.
Well, here, hold on. Tell me as a parent that what makes no sense to me is that the biologicals stated to her, biological father stated to her that, you know, he wanted to put the past behind. He wanted to put the past behind.
I remember that.
And then her birthday came and went. No message, no happy birthday, no nothing. And then again, giving her the silent treatment. After everything that beautiful young lady has been through, you know, he used to use her as an excuse for other women. to be around and spend more time with. And, I used to be the only child of all the, three of us. I was the only one that ever took care and covered for him. And that's because I was a black sheep, right? He has no relationship with either child, which now he kind of does with my older stepsister. And that's because he needs help with his wife. But he goes behind her back and talks about, I don't want to move up there, but I do because I want to buy a yacht and blah, blah, blah. And then I asked him, do they know you're speaking to us? And he was like, no. And then he's talking about, my brother, he got married and, that my stepsister's son was throwing up at the venue and that she screams and yells at him and that the wedding was done by my stepsister's older son. He became an ordained minister and did this. I mean, how would I know any of this if he didn't tell me, right? He has no relationship with his son, really, either. And he did tell me that, the groom that he married, who I said, I don't care as long as he treats him right and he's happy. That's all I care about. And instead of saying anything, he goes, oh, they're going on a cruise at the end of the year for their anniversary. And his family wouldn't show up because they didn't want him getting married. He's an older guy, so there's a daddy complex in there somewhere. I mean, you can't be happy. You cannot be happy. And that's just it. And then you all of a sudden stop talking about this. You stop talking to your kid. And you stop talking to your grandchild. Again, right? I didn't reach out to you. You reached out to my husband. And that's the thing, is we have a trauma-free life. And we love it. And my husband's laughing because we haven't addressed this till now. Like, we normally talk about narcissism and the abuse and everything, but this is more focused, if you will. And what really got me, and my husband is sitting here laughing, and I wonder if he thought I was going to actually do this, but we sat across from him, and I said, why don't you come on the show? Why don't you come on the show and let's talk? And he, honest to God, handed on, tell me if I'm wrong, said, what are we talking about?
Right?
What? And I was like, why don't you come on and talk about what it's like for your biological daughter to have endured the abuse to which I went through, what it's like for you. And he was like, why would I do that? Why not? And then he wanted to know how many people listen, how many millions of people listen. And then he was like, because I've never talked about his profession and what he used to do. And I never, but this man would jump in front of a camera in a New York second to get, in front of people. And he had that monstrosity of, I want power and control and money. And that's the perception I want everybody to have with me. And, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, you really should come on. You really should come on. You should come on to the show. And then he's like, why don't you let your mother come on? I'm asking you. And then she goes, do you remember what she said? You don't want me to come on the show because you're not going to like what I have to say, because I wouldn't have stayed and no man would have ever put his hands on me. I would have never allowed it. Nothing would have ever happened. You stayed, your choice, right? So I was like, no. So I kept asking, if you want to come on the show, we talk about whatever you want. And that's no filter. And at first he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then he goes, no, I'm not going to do it till we have a conversation. And I was like, what do we have to conversate about? And he was like, no, we're going to have a conversation about why you went to your mother and showed her all these pictures back years ago. I wanted her to know who you were, right? I shouldn't have to carry the burden of your lies and deceit. I shouldn't. And I knew when I did what it would do. So with that being said, he asked again to have the conversation, and I said no, I have nothing to conversate with him about. I'm not going to again apologize for his actions, because that is so typical in the narcissistic relationship, where I used to do it. Sorry, my husband is opening a drink of Canada Dry. I used to always take responsibility for his actions, because that's how he trained me. He trained me to be accountable for his wrongdoings, right? That's what a narcissist does. So we sat there. I see how good my husband's memory is. And I was like, no, you need to come on. Well, when he said, fine, I'll do it, I handed him a release, a liability release, which we give to everybody who comes on the show, right? Every single person who comes on the show gets that release. And in that release, I did correct and add a stipulation. There's my bad speech problem coming up. A stipulation to it where he, allows any and all, just like all waivers are done, and it's been checked by a judge, it's been checked by a lawyer, that, we use it. I told him that we would give him another name. We wouldn't go by his real name if he didn't want. It would be audio, not video. And that, I told him what his name would be, which happened to be the character in the book, right? And had he read it, which was his choice, he would have known, but he didn't. And it's in there that, we could use whatever we want to promote and discuss. And I even put a logo together with the Liberty Justice of
That's
the,
right.
together of the two of us going to have this podcast. He signed a waiver. Babe, he signed the waiver. You watched him sign the waiver.
Yeah.
Releasing any and all liability.
It wasn't for a few days later.
Right, but he released any and all responsibility and liability for anything having to do with who we are, what we do, or anything in between. And that includes the book. Everything. Right? It's all in there. So he signs it. I said, do you want a copy of it?
Nope.
No. And then I guess he started listening because he wanted to know what our podcast was about. And what I don't like that I'm doing right now for the first time is I'm giving him this much attention. But it's the fact that it's our 3rd anniversary of amputation, which is kind of ironic. We haven't talked about this because it didn't fuel the fire to need to. But it's just an eye-opening experience for the black sheep and the scapegoat that, they get away with everything. But at some point in time, do they really? And it might take an hour, a week, a month, a decade, or whatever. I have been in therapy for decades. And it took me into my 40s to realize that I was the black sheep and the scapegoat. And now, here we are. So you're right. My husband pointed out when he read this, of what it does and doesn't do. It's kind of comical at this point, but I've never wished anything but the best for them. I don't want the drama and trauma. I'm not going to allow anyone to hurt our kid. She's as protective of us as we are of her. And, the thing is that I even spoke to an attorney prior to doing this book, and the attorney was very adamant that said, look, you were being way above and beyond in protection of their identities. And if anyone ever wanted to dispute it, they would have to show how you were lying about it. And then you have the right to show how you weren't, and you could redact all of the redaction. And then you could publicly show everything, right? And I was like, but I don't want to do that. And it was just kind of a come to fruition thing. And then when you said that basically the same thing earlier, I was like, well, okay, it's why can't people just, life's too short. Why can't you just allow yourself to be happy and get your shit out of other people's business? I mean, yes. What message would you like to end with?
Well, you didn't write this book to slander and belittle and desecrate someone's name.
I didn't.
You wrote it as a fact-based thing that is happening in people's lives, and this is how manipulative they can be, how controlling they can be, and to show people, hey, this is what I did, this is what I gathered, and now I've released this and I've got it off my chest. I presented the information to those involved, and I sleep better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I love you.
I love you. And what would you say to someone who tried to
What come in between us? Hit the road, Jack.
Come on. Back in the day, my husband was the most protective, defensive. It was so sexy.
Well, I would tell you about someone I met today.
Do that. But I'm just saying, it was so defensive and sexy. And it's protective. But I mean, I know that if somebody go ahead and tried to do anything to hurt me, like
No, nothing's coming between you and I. Or that little girl. Except for your dog.
why you gotta bring stuff?
Your dog, Stucco. Y'all, man, her service dog, Stucco,
My boy, that's my baby.
gets up there in the bed with us at night, and I will lean over and try to kiss my wife goodnight. And he will put all four paws up against me, pushing me away from my own wife. I know I'm not the only one out there that's got a dog like that.
Well, we have both dogs in the bed. But he'll actually come up and put his head on my pillow, and then he puts his paw on my heart, and you're spooning me from behind. And like if my husband's hand is over my head, Sucker will start nudging it. Or like if my husband is, if I'm sitting on the bed talking to my husband at the end of the day, he jumps up. If my husband comes over to kiss me, he'll push him away.
He's a jealous dog.
It's not, it's my baby.
Yeah, he's something all right.
He's my
Thank y'all for listening. Be sure to get those books off Amazon. Who Kicked First and Narc Who's There by Victoria Cure.
And one last little thing, and I hope you add to this.
And if you read it, they'll comment.
And that's not what I was going to say.
Do a review.
And I hope you add to this. If you are the black sheep or the scapegoat, as we both are, do not allow someone who is miserable, because misery loves company. Don't allow a narcissist who cannot accept and or take responsibility for their own actions continue to tear you down. I know it is so much easier said than done. I know it. And even when you're not right front and center, they're still going to try. And when that's the case, just remember who you are, brush yourself off, dust yourself off, and say, yeah, I'm better than that. And it's not that easy, but it's a good starting point. Anything you want to say to add to that?
That's it. Good night, y'all.
My husband wants to go to bed.
Yes. Thank my wife. And no dog.
Oh, I don't think so.
Thank y'all.